Many times you are looking at a location and you're trying to morph it into many different things. The production designer really loved these arches, and there was a bedroom over here that has a window and a door. So he thought maybe we could transition, because we're shooting the dining room sequence here, we're shooting a kitchen sequence. What if we take one of the rooms in the home and turn it into our motel room set? And I thought, wow, that's kind of a great idea. So let's take a look at it and see if it works. Just to kind of set the stage here, it's a motel room scene where Jay and Liza get caught in a snowstorm. And they happen to be at a bar where they get a motel room for the night. Jay wakes up that morning after and realizes that Liza is gone, and he gets up and looks out the window to see where she went. That's our first scene in here. Our second scene is after he's grabbed her from outside, he's brought her back, and they come in and they have this very deep conversation about her past. And it's really where they start to fall in love. So it's my job to work with the director and talk through the story and what are the key frames and the key elements that we want to talk about and deliver on this location. Stefan had storyboards for this scene. So this really helps us out a lot. He wants a wide establishing of Jay looking around, waking up, and then walking as a semi-silhouette to the window, and then a close-up of him at the window. And he has what the camera wants to do. It was this exotic dolly dance floor move around him. So all that's really described is interior motel room, early morning. The room is dark. Jay awakens. He looks around the room. He's alone. There's a sound of a diesel engine starting out of the parking lot. He rises naked from his bed, looks out the part of the curtain, and then we cut to his POV. Out in the parking lot, he sees Liza trying to get a ride from a snowplow driver. And she's laughing and runs her hands through her hair. You can totally see that she's flirting with him. And the snowplow driver grins and motions for her to join her in the truck. And that's when Jay bolts out the door. We got Jay in that bed. We gotta establish him waking up. And I think we got to get his back as far as possible. Looking at the door here, we're obviously going to have to skin this because this doesn't look like a motel room door. This would be solid, obviously, so people can't break in the glass. Stefan wants to be able to wrap around him while he gets up. So we wanted to start here, and he wanted to rotate around like this and have him get up towards camera. Think about what that's gonna look like, because if I'm rotating around and the only light source that I have in this room is through this window. So if I come around like this with the dolly, I'm gonna be blocking all this light. So then it means I have to light from that side. But then he also wants him coming around and going to the window. So again, a lot of times these storyboards are in a vacuum. Stefan hasn't seen the location. He doesn't know what the physical limitations of it are. So when we scouted this room, I said, what if we start way back here and we pan off of the door? I'm able to bring in like early morning light into the window. I wanted it to feel very Todd Hito-esque. Todd Hito is this still photographer that does a ton of beautiful motel room bed scenes where he has models in the room and he shears up and bunches them up and just makes a sliver of light So it's a very small pool of light that comes into the room. That was kind of our motivation. It's something that Stefan really introduced me to Todd Hito and his work, and much of Deadfall was inspiration of his photography. If we start here and pan, I came up with this idea I threw out. What if we pan and stay, and then the minute Jay realizes that she has gone, where the heck is she, we start to push in and move in on him, and then he gets up and we kind of pan over with the silhouette. Obviously, this location, we're going to have to cheat a point of view of a true motel room where we can see the snowplow, because here we obviously can't see that. So we're going to shear this up. You're not going to know what the heck is outside because we have to fake that. And then we'll have Charlie come up and look outside, and then we'll cut into that point of view. So that's the first scene. So these storyboards we had to really alter based on our location. Talking with the production designer, obviously these walls will have to be brought way down. We're gonna want it to be, low rent kind of motel room, broken fixtures, the phone is older style, mismatch of alarm clock, kind of cheesy bookshelves and dressers and everything. So that'll be in this space. The next scene he had storyboarded is basically 4 shots. He had a dead-on shot of Jay listening, and then a tight close-up, and then he had a dead-on shot of Olivia Wilde sitting there on the bed, and then a close-up. This is again where you kind of talk with the director and discuss kind of this emotional scene. Okay, here's a cool idea. What if we do this? Jay has just seen her trying to hook a ride to be able to get the heck out of there. When he finally goes and grabs her and brings her back into the motel room, I don't think he is really at a great place to think this girl is anything other than trying to take advantage of him. This idea that he has is very good. Clean shots. We're not linking them together. They're never together in the frame. But I thought since the light is coming from this direction, we can definitely do these straight on shots, but what if we do profiles? What if he's sitting here on this dresser and he's looking at her, and we do a profile that's almost like short-siding him. So he's created a wall right here, and he's not letting her in. And then on her side, her profile has all this negative space in front of her that she's trying to let him in. And the dialogue that proceeds in this is all about her telling her story. What if we do that? We weight the frames in a way that he is literally short-sighted, so tons of negative space over here and tons of negative space in front of her. And then when he decides to walk up to her, he comes in on the bed and he enters her world for the first time. And she says, when I was 10, I watched my father bleed to death in the weeds outside my house.
Pulled himself across the yard with his arms, screamed at me, and then he died. Someone shot him. Want to know what I did next? Washed him off with a garden hose, combed his hair, sat beside him and waited for someone to find me.
Who found you?
My brother. He turned off the hose and took me for a walk.
What happened then?
A lot of strangers at our house, a lot of cops. People trying to figure out where to put me. My father was a monster, an animal, and he died like one. I'm supposed to be a grown-up. If I was someone else, I could have a husband of my own, be having my own babies. Instead, I'm all messed up. Liza. My name's Liza.
I'm Jay.
Stefan's idea of doing these cleans kind of tells the same story. But when I started suggesting the idea of the profiles and that how cool it would look if we short-sighted him and didn't really let him in the beginning, and then you started to ease the frame when we cut and he started to open up his side a little bit, she was always open and inviting. And the other thing is he's very cold on this side, lighting-wise. I thought, what if we make this whole side cold and we make her warmer? So she's warm and inviting and telling her story, and then he is more colder and standoffish. He's not letting her in. I don't care what happened to you. You just tried to screw a snowplow driver to get a ride. You know, now you're telling me your life story and you want me to fall in love with you? And then through that, he opens up and gives in and falls in love with her. This is what our job is during this location scout, to block it in this very small room. And so I'm looking to see if I go in this corner over here, I can see that I can get back really nicely and stack it up with that window behind Olivia Wilde, so behind Liza. And then I can come over here and I have this area for Jay to position himself like this by the dresser, and I can have like some light coming in and making him kind of cold and, you know, separated. And let's say we smoke it up a little bit so we can get a shaft and get some texture in here so it feels, you know, a little dirty and a little more raw. I'll talk with the production designer because I like this blue and warm vibe that I've been discussing. So what if we put some sconces on the wall, as well as maybe a desk lamp on the bedside table over here, so I can motivate that warmth in this scene. Now, when Charlie wakes up, obviously all those things will be turned off and he'll be semi-silhouette going to the window. But when they come back, it's a time cut. So we can kind of do whatever the heck we want. So in that time cut, we've turned on the practical lights and we've turned on, you know, one of these bedside table lamps, and that's able to create this warm vibe on her side. And then on his side, we'll have this, you know, semi-hyper white light coming in. So it's a nice juxtaposition of slightly cool mixed with the really warm. And again, I'm looking at if I want to rig some kind of a soft box here. I'm already starting to look, okay, well, there's some recessed can lights there. We'll be able to do something there. Am I able to bring some light in here through the arches? It looks like there's enough room outside for us to set lights. So this could work out as a location cheat for a motel room set. It's not optimum. I would like to go to a motel, but this is how scheduling works sometimes. I remember that this was kind of a cover set for us. So if we got rain or the snow was not happening on the day that we wanted it to do, we were up in Montreal and constantly hoping for snow. If that wasn't there, then we could go into an environment like this to shoot for a rain day. And that concludes our location scout of our motel room scene.